Governor Perry, since the Islamist-oriented party took over in Turkey, the murder rate of women has increased 1,400% there. Press freedom has declined to the level of Russia. The Prime Minister of Turkey has embraced Hamas, and Turkey has threatened military force against both Israel and Cyprus. Given Turkey's turn, do you believe Turkey still belongs in NATO?
Well, obviously, when you have a country that is being ruled by what many would perceive to be Islamic terrorists, when you start seeing that type of activity against their own citizens, then yes, not only is it time for us to have a conversation about whether or not they belong to be in NATO, but it's time for the United States, when we look at their foreign aid, to go to zero with it. And you go to zero with foreign aid for all of those countries, and it doesn't make any difference who they are. You go to zero with that foreign aid, and then you have the conversation about, do they have America's best interest in mind? And when you have countries like Turkey that are moving far away from the country that I lived in back in the 1970s as a pilot in the United States Air Force, that was our ally, that worked with us. But today, we don't see that. Our president has a foreign policy that makes our allies very nervous, and it emboldens our enemies. And we have to have a president of the United States that clearly sends a message, whether it's to Israel, our friend, and there should be no space between the United States and Israel, period. And we need to send a powerful message to countries like Iran and Syria and Turkey that the United States is serious and that we're going to have to be dealt with.
Governor Perry, you sounded like you wanted to get in when Congressman Paul was talking at the beginning of this round on foreign policy.
Well, I was just saying that I thought maybe that the noise that you were looking for was a gong.
Do you have any reaction to what Congressman Paul said?
Listen, as you know, I volunteered to wear the uniform of our country. And what bothers me more than anything is this administration and this administration's disdain all too often for our men and women in uniform. Whether it was what they've said about the Marines. Now, these young men made a mistake. They obviously made a mistake.
You're talking about urinating on the corpses.
They made a mistake that the military needs to deal with, and they need to be punished. But the fact of the matter, the fact of the matter is this. When the Secretary of Defense calls that a despicable act, when he calls that utterly despicable, let me tell you what's utterly despicable. Cutting Danny Pearl's head off and showing the video of it. Hanging our contractors from bridges. That's utterly despicable. For our President, for the Secretary of State, for the Department of Defense Secretary to make those kind of statements about those young Marines, yes, they need to be punished. But when you see this president with that type of disdain for our country, taking $1 trillion out of our defense budget, 100,000 of our military off of our front lines, and a reduction of force. I lived through a reduction of force once, and I saw the result of it in the sands of Iran in 1979. Never again.